first keynote address for the symposium will be delivered by Mr. Maheshwar Peri. Mr. Peri, a passionate entrepreneur and seasoned finance professional, brings a wealth of experience from his tenure at SBI Capital Markets and leadership role at Outlook Group. Recognizing the importance of guiding India's youth, he founded Careers360, a platform aimed at addressing information gaps and empowering students to make informed career decisions. He is here today to talk to us on the topic of understanding the universe of liberal arts programs in India. Let's welcome him with a huge round of applause.
So when Ravi called me over to talk on liberal arts, I was just wondering why me? Because in a sense, most of my generation came from, if you will call it, a skilling school or a trade school. We were always bracketed to be learning commerce or arts or science or engineering, and the foundation that is supposed to be there, what education is supposed to be achieving, possibly was not available for some of our generations, right? Like I did BCom, I did CA. And then at some point in time, if you look at our career paths, it's all over the place. And that's where I think the understanding of liberal arts comes better. I became an investment banker because I did my CA. And at some point in time, I joined an investment banking company which launched Outlook, the magazine. And I launched Outlook. So 15 years, I was a media professional. From 95 to 2012, 17 years, when people felt that I'm not getting any other job, that I'm not leaving Outlook, I started Careers360. It's been now 12 years. And thankfully, it's now the largest discovery platform in the country. Every day, 2 million students come on the platform to understand which course, which college, which pathway that we do. And whatever I'm going to speak today is out of the experiences of how the children interact with us, how the children engage with our platform, how the children use our information, how the children decide based on the kind of information that we have. Like 2 days back, day first, late night, 12 o'clock, the JEE examination results were declared. About 1.2 million students took the examination. And there is a, can you hear me? Yeah. There was a massive audience that's coming on the platform because now they actually have a score in their hand. They have a rank in their hand. Now they want to decide which college, which course, which pathway. If they've not got a good rank, what next? Right? And fortunately or unfortunately in India, you have about 30 to 100 claimants for a particular seat, and the other 29 or the other are meant to decide their pathway by themselves. By the way, I'm very excited that it's not just the school principals and school teachers that are here, there are students out here. That's my playground. I don't know how to give a speech, but I know how to engage with students. So I'm thankful to you guys for making me feel a bit more confident here. Right. So now what happens is, all the students, just imagine you got 98 percentile score. Now 98 percentile is that you're in the top 2 percentile. But fortunately or unfortunately, you don't get a good college seat at NIT, IIT. So that's a fact. Because unless you're 99 percentile and above, you don't get a course and college of your choice. And much of India basically leaves behind all these 99 percentilers, in the 98 percentilers and below, because the choices are confined to the top 2 percentile. And everyone else. So the plan A always is to get into IIT, IAS, IIM, and so on and so forth. And the next plan, the plan B, the plan C, plan D are completely missing. And the important thing that's happening now is, even in these places like IITs and IIMs and all, placement is becoming a challenge, especially in IITs for sure. IITs and IITs, placement is becoming a massive challenge. This year, at least 35% students from these pedigreed institutions are not likely to get placed, right? When you have that kind of a challenge, then why are you running after that? There are some private institutions which place 100% students, mind you, but they're largely into skilling or trading. They're what you call skilling trading schools, right? So the thing that you have to deal with, and by the way, there's one big example in COVID times. In COVID times, just imagine a student who's done MBA in hospitality. In 2020, he was passing out. He or she was passing out. And for 2 years, all the hotels were closed. Every single hotel was closed. They were sacking people. They were removing people. There was a downgrade of the entire hospitality sector. And you suddenly have a few thousand students who've done MBA in hospitality coming in and trying to be in the job market. And that's where liberal arts education comes in. Because it teaches you to be a bit more adaptive, a bit more flexible, a bit more resilient, and most importantly, it gives you the breadth. Much of the education that we went through has a lot of depth, but there was no breadth. And to that extent, all we how to study, how to learn, and how to get a job. There was nothing beyond that for us, right? But for this generation, where all this will tell you how important a subject is, how important a chapter is, but trust me when I say this, that even they are not sure of what they're teaching today is relevant a decade from now or not. If they tell you that this is the most important thing, they're lying. They're quite simply lying, because the simple thing is that none of us at this point in time know whether what we are teaching you or what we are trying to make you learn at this point in time is relevant a decade from now. Much of what we teach possibly will become obsolete. You know, there are a lot of engineering colleges that came into this country, and at some point in time they start getting into coding, teaching coding. And coding today is irrelevant because AI has taken over. And to take over. So recently what I did was I went to a university in Ahmedabad. Some of you would know about it, Ahmedabad University. And I sat through 4 classrooms. I went there as a student, sat there as a student, because I wanted to experience liberal education first person, sitting in a classroom as a student. Of course, I know a lot of things. By the way, I'll speak for 2 minutes and then I'll show you data of how this whole thing works, right? Now, in this university, there was one classroom. What they do in year 1, typically in liberal universities, what they do is they mix everything at the foundation level in year 1. So you have a STEM student, you have an art student, you have a commerce student, you have a pure sciences student, you have only a mathematics student coming and sitting together. In good liberal universities, they try to mix the batches together in first year so that there is a breadth of understanding. And as you keep moving up, you start what you enjoy most, what you want to be your primary interest, and you start getting into majors. So in year 1, what you essentially do is to mix everything together and give them foundational understanding of multiple things. So if someone comes to you saying that I'm a great liberal university, but they don't have pure sciences or mathematics, they can't simply be. The more the breadth of subjects that you offer, the greater the understanding or learning that will happen as a liberal university. So in this university, I sat in a classroom where they were discussing abortion. And there were girls out there saying they must be right for abortion. There were students who were from the biological sciences who were talking of how it is harmful for the mother. So every kind of conversation. There was another class I sat where they were talking of solar energy. And suddenly someone from social sciences came in and said, but you talk of carbon emissions, look at the biggest marriage that happened, pre-wedding that happened, and the kind of carbon emissions that happened. Now, it required some kind of conviction and courage to ask that question in a classroom also, by the way. There was one class on neighborhoods, and these students are supposed to go to the neighborhoods and understand the issues, problems and all, right? So they went to a neighborhood where there was, stagnant water, there was mosquitoes breeding and all the stuff. And those people said, this is a lifestyle. You can't take it away from us because that's how we live. And my conversation with them is, listen, you actually had to go to the place to understand them. At some point in time, hopefully you will actually make them a part of you so that your neighborhood and their neighborhoods look similar and as healthy as it can be. But across these things, in all these classrooms, all kinds of students were there. There was someone who was learning law, there was someone who was learning STEM, there was sciences, there was someone who was doing engineering, and there was someone who was doing BBA, right? And when you have that kind of a mixture, the kind of learning that comes, the kind of questions that are thrown in, the kind of conversations that happen, the kind of nuances that come in are dramatically different from one classroom which is only dealing with engineering or one classroom which is only dealing with commerce. So liberal universities are especially supposed to ensure that there's greater breadth of understanding of subjects across departments, and I'll come to the departments in my slides now, so that you learn better, and as you move up, you start deciding what interests you more and what you want to really be skilled at, and what you will make possibly yourself a career for yourself, right? Now, so this is the definition of liberal arts. So I'll just skip it as fast as possible. Of course, you need to deal with. There are four broad domains that you should be dealing with, which is humanities, social sciences, natural sciences, and arts. So, for the children out here, I would always suggest choose a university which has all these four divisions. If one of them is missing, it simply cannot be a liberal arts university, right? And what the teaching, it always focuses on critical thinking, communication skills, creativity, interdisciplinary understanding, and ensure that you're well-rounded and well-developed, so that the kind of conversation that you have today, which are very, very narrow, slightly become much more broader, so that because you understand many things, right? And it also encourages you to explore different perspectives. And the perspectives can be from a rich to the poor, from a social background, from an economic background, from a meritorious background also possibly, and so on and so forth. Like one of the questions that I ask people is when we talk of entrance examinations. If my son got 99 percentile and my driver's son got 70 percentile, who's better? It's a question that you must keep asking yourself. You must keep probing yourself of whether is it fair for us to judge everyone based on a mark? And that's where the question of entrance test comes in, and I'll talk about that as we move along, right? So this is basically what we're dealing with as liberal arts, and it ensures that there's better critical thinking skills, versatility and adaptability, cultural awareness and empathy, which is very important for this generation, by the way. I think the kind of schools and the kind of college that you're studying in, it's very important for school managements and college managements to bring in people so that there is greater empathy amongst themselves. And when I say bring in people from diverse backgrounds. Interdisciplinary learning without getting in diversity might not be the in thing moving forward, because you ultimately need to deal with the real world and not just with people like yourself, right? And lifelong learning and personal growth. Now I'll come to you of how the students chose. This is, I was thinking of what is the best example that we have of if a choice is given to the students per se, of choose what you want to study, learn what you want to learn. What is the kind of choices that students make? And the examination that I chose for that is an examination called Central Universities Entrance Test, CUET. Now, why CUET? Because you get admissions into BTech or BBA or arts and sciences or commerce or whatever through one single examination across the country, across 250 plus universities. The other examinations that you have, JEE is for only engineering, NEET is only for medical, and something else only. So it's very domain specific. This was a broader examination at a university level. And when you examine the data at the university of how the students made choices, by the way, in this examination, students can take examination across 33 languages, 27 specialized domains, and one general test, right? Now you look at that on the right, you had 33 languages where students can take a test, 27 specific domains, and one general test. You actually had about 1.5 million, 15 lakh students take, which are unique registered students. But of this, the number of domains that they choose is 28 lakh, which means more than almost 1.8 students, every student choose 1.8 domains in that sense, right? They chose commerce and arts. They chose BCom and BA. And that's how they actually came to the number of unique candidates is 28 lakh, whereas the unique students were only 15 lakh. So students are trying to keep their options open, right? Now, these people took about 65 lakh tests, because each, when you choose a domain called BCom, you need to do a commerce and general test and one language and one more subject. You need to take 4 subjects, right? So about 64 lakh. The total test papers that were prepared were 49,000, close to 49,000. And in all 61 subjects. Now let us look at how the students chose the kind of tests that they will take if the options were given to them. Languages. Everyone talks of, there is a inherent thing saying, I'm a Kannadiga, I'm a Tamilian, I'm an Andhraite, I'm a Teluguite, and so on and so forth, right? Look at the way the students have taken. Only 262 students took an examination only for Marathi. Only for Marathi. Only 117 took only for Gujarati. Only 154 took only for Kannada. But come this side, for Arabic 702, for Japanese 188, for German 321. Students are preferring the career choices more than anything else. They want to learn the local language, but they're not making it the primary domain where they would actually make their career on. And those are the numbers. Hindi, of course, is 2,01,000 because they were taking Hindi, and English is 7,90,000 because they had actually take the examination in that language, right? But when you look at the languages, which is Marathi, Gujarati, Kannada, and the same thing happens for Telugu and all also, by the way, versus the kind of language that they were choosing here, Arabic, Santali, German, Japanese, there was very clearly a movement in terms of trying to choose the kind of languages that will give them a career. Spanish is also about 200 plus, by the way. I did not put it up here. So the students obviously at a college level, at a UG level are saying, I want to learn this language because it gives me a career path moving forward. Right. Now move to the next one, the kind of subjects that they opted for. Everyone knows sciences, and also I've removed the popular subjects here, by the way. So I have not got into physics, chemistry, math, and all the stuff, right? Look at the kind of subjects. Like a lot of people say, oh, teaching is the last profession that people do. At an undergrad level, teaching aptitude, 16,000 students chose the test. We don't know them. We did not look out for them. We did not search for them. But 16,000 students took a test which is about teaching aptitude. Anthropology, 2,328. Environmental studies, which is so important for this generation, 15,000 students. Engineering graphics, 7,000, 8,000 students. Entrepreneurship, about 12,000 students. Fine arts, 14,000. This knowledge, tradition, practices of India, it is ancient knowledge and tradition practices of India. About 1,300 students took the test. Right, and so on and so forth. So what essentially I'm trying to say is that if students are given an option, the choices that they make is dramatically different from when you channelize them and say, oh, you need to do BCom where these are the 4 subjects. You need to do BA these are the 5 subjects, and so on and so forth. You can get into specialization at some level, but still, if options are given to the student, that's how they're doing. And that is something that we as educators, academics, teachers, policymakers, planners need to understand, that the students are making a dramatically different choice from what we think should be their pathway. And there's nothing to do with just interest. It is interest, passion, conviction, and the career pathway also. And that's what is showing here very clearly. Now, if you look at the best practices in the world, as I told you earlier, the best practice is when you actually have large number of schools, large number of divisions, right? And by the way, I know that there is one Kriya professor here. Is there a Kriya professor here? Yeah. So I have taken your example because I personally believe that of all the so-called liberal universities that we have, you are the best example. So I have taken your example, sir. So you can correct me if I'm wrong anywhere. Right. The world practices, Amherst College has 40 majors of arts, humanities, natural sciences, social sciences, and has 850 plus courses. Right. So the greater the breadth, you just realize how they're choosing the things, right? How the students are making the choices, right? And because they could not provide all the 850 courses, they actually created a cohort of about 5 colleges which will offer those courses too. So you can jump from A college to a B college, learn that subject and come back for the thing. Then the distribution, how do you distribute? You know, the major, minor, so many subjects, natural sciences versus arts versus commerce versus something else. So the distribution also is important. Williams College, by the way, Williams College is the best liberal college in the world at this point in time, right? Its curriculum distribution requirements are designed to ensure that students can obtain distributed learning across the whole scope of the curriculum, which is divided into 3 areas: language and arts, social studies, and science and mathematics. So a student needs to take something from each of these things so that it can move forward, right? Same thing with Broadpoint College also, where they actually divided into 5 broader fields, which is, mathematical, computational, statistical, inquiry to the natural sciences, exploring social differences, international perspectives, and visual and performing arts. So here you have a math student learning visual and performing arts also, right? It is interdisciplinary. The Vassar College, according to its criteria for awarding degrees, requires students to choose courses that are cross-departmental or from different departments to meet the requirement of 3 majors. So you simply can't say, I want to do math and just let it be. You move to the next level. Then you get into depth. At the end of last semester of the at sophomore year, by the way, much of the depth also, most of the liberal arts universities also believe in writing things out. So it is not just completely verbal or oral. They believe in getting people do research papers and submit those research papers, because there's greater depth that comes in when you actually submit a research paper. So that happens. And then the research practice that you have, which is the last one, right? Then I talked of Kriya University, which is yours, sir. It is a school of interwoven and arts and sciences. So basically you have a student doing arts and sciences. They jump between the arts and sciences, but they have to take. Of course, at some point in time, they'll take major also, right? There are quite a few universities which offer this, by the way. But I took one example because I thought this is a very good example for me to work on, right? They have 3 schools: Division of Humanities and Social Sciences, Division of Sciences, and Division of Literature and Arts. By the way, Shivnada is also a very good example for this one, Shivnada University. I don't know about a few others that claim to be liberal universities, but these 2 are for me, because a university that doesn't offer pure sciences is very far away from being a liberal university. I think we have come very far from trying to understand what a liberal arts university is. Earlier, I remember about 5 years back, when the word liberal arts universities came into the country, people were saying, oh, they're offering arts college courses. Right? That was a limited, because the word arts was put in there. And then people like Kriya and all came in with saying arts and sciences. They started coming in with this interwoven stuff, right? Now, first year you have 11 core and skills. Second year with a major. Third year, and obviously they talk of interdisciplinary research-based global immersion and so on and so forth. Now, the first year with 11 core and skills is very important here. This is what teaches you what the first year student core courses is: literature and arts, mathematical reasoning, social analysis and historical immersion, scientific reasoning, philosophical perspectives across cultures, and creative expression. The skilling courses is writing and oral communication, introduction to topics in computer science, data analytics, design thinking, and ethics. Now, if you take data sciences out of this, for example, then you get into a problem. If you take away, the topics of computer science, it is a problem. What liberal arts universities essentially are doing is to ensure that the student understands the broader subjects that are necessary for them to keep moving ahead. Now, when you do it that way, you essentially ensure that even if you were to be a policymaker, you understand what computer sciences is all about, how to deal with data, how to analyze data to decide for yourself, and so on and so forth. The broader perspective is pretty much up there. Now, I'll jump to the next one of, is India really, one is of course, now you actually have a definition of a liberal arts universities, but how diverse is India, and whether we can actually deal with the diverse landscape of India to make sure that the national education policy and the fact that what we're likely to teach now might not be relevant a few years down the line. How do we gel these things so that the students are better prepared for future, right? Now, this is the landscape of India in terms of the kind of degrees that students are doing. These are across about 3.5 crore students who right now at undergrad level, right? And there is the Aisha data, which is called the All India School and Higher Education data. Now, this was for 22. After that, 3-4% would have changed. Now, if you look at this whole thing, the 34.2% is the BCom, BA, those kind of things. BTech is very, very less. It's 7.6%. The most talked about is BTech, but it's only 7.6% of the entire audience. Then you have the BSc is 14.9%, 9.3% is BA honors, BA, and so on and so forth, and others is 34.2%. To realize, much of India was actually taking the BA, BCom, BSc things for a long, long time, right? It is just that the professional programs, the so-called professional programs, were sold better, were packaged better, because of which, it could work wonders for them. But moving forward, as you move along, like some of the BSc programs of Flame, Kriya, Ashoka and all are selling far better and are getting better placement opportunities for the students as compared to the BTech students of many other colleges. That's because they're much more well-rounded and they still understand computer sciences, data sciences, and stuff. So increasingly, you will see that the formula that was adopted by some of the liberal universities here has greater opportunities and greater prospects for the students moving ahead if they're properly structured and properly taught. Now I'll go to the next level. By the way, we did talk of QET earlier. Now, earlier I did talk of how CUET is the largest examination. 1.5 million students taking the examination. This year it will be 2 million students, by the way, taking the examination. The problem, we talked of empathy earlier, students, so I'll talk to you for a minute now. The thing about any entrance examination is that it compromises fairness in pursuit of transparency. What is fairness when I say that my son got 99% and my driver's son got 70%? Is it fair to put a number behind a student? So we are now saying that a 99% student is better than the 98.9% student. And whenever you put an entrance test, it obviously leads to coaching institutions, and people who go through coaching institution have a better chance at cracking the examination than people who study in a classroom. And for me, CUET is the worst of the examples of this entire genre. Why do I say so? Because for any student in Delhi who wants to pursue any undergrad program, he needs to write an undergrad exam, a CUET examination. Because Delhi University is a central university. Now when you do that, everything that you do in a classroom is completely demonetized. It doesn't matter whether you get 50% or 60%. You still need to crack that examination. And every time you lead a student to make them crack an examination, an entrance examination, which is done over a single day, right? People who can afford coaching will get a better shot than those people who are studying in government schools and can't afford coaching. So today, if you look at the demographics or the diversity in some of these colleges, the best of the colleges, you will see a complete shift in terms of the diversity that those colleges have. Right. But anyway, coming back to this thing. Now, I'm now talking the India landscape, right? We have massive number of degrees that are there. Like for example, a lot of people talk of BTech. Do you know that in BTech there are 367 varied degrees? 367 degrees. Right, from textile engineering to leather engineering to whatever it is, there are 367 degrees only in engineering in BTech. They might add a few words here or there, but still these are all approved by the government of India, AICTE. Now that's what we're talking of. Each of these programs have so many variants of degrees, and the variance can be at a specialization level or at a skill level, but the variation is there. Now people would wonder, how does this happen? How does this kind of variation happen? Right? Like you have BStat, BText, BPO, BSMS, BTM, BR. So B-Plan, 33 different. B-Plan is one single degree, we all thought, but there are 33 variations that are being offered by different colleges. It can be only for a certain segment of population or for the entire segment, one doesn't know, but there are such 33 variations of those degrees, right? So I took the three big ones, which is BA, BCom, BSc, and try to understand how these things work out, right? In all, if you look at bachelor BA, you have those many degrees. Arts, you have 12,983, Indian language 3,457, and so on and so forth, right? You have 814 colleges offering degrees in geography. By the way, these are at college level. This is not a degree course level, these are at the college level. How many colleges offer these kind of programs? So there are 12,983 colleges in the country which are offering BA in BA basically, right? Now I broke the 12,983 into the kind of, within BA, what is it? So it is BA in journalism and mass communication, BA in music, BA in foreign languages, and so on and so forth. Right? That is a break. The 12,983 breakup is these numbers. You actually have literature 41, BA in literature 41, you have BA in statistics. Now, how is statistics and BA related? It is there. There's 46 colleges offer BA in statistics. Right? You have BA in liberal arts, BA in criminology 53, BA in film and television 57, and so on and so forth. So you suddenly see that India always had, at a specialization level, at a degree level, this diverse kind of choices. Right? It's just that students were forced to pick up that choice very early in their life, whereas possibly it could have been done slightly later, when you're in the second year of your graduation or the third year of your graduation. But India always had those specializations. That's what is important for you, right? This for BA. Similarly, for now BA mainstream language, if you see, only in BA in Indian languages, you have Sanskrit 985, Bengali 656 and all. You come down, there are 3 BA in languages, Bhojpuri, 5 in Kannada, 15 in Santali, 23 in Telugu and so on and so forth. So you have BA in Telugu and BA in Santali and all that is happening around the country. So the choices are very, very up there. To take just BA in economics, earlier, whatever the number, I forgot the number, you have 5 colleges offering BA in development economics. You have 6 offering BA in corporate economics. Applied economics 7, rural economics, very, very big subject these days. 16 colleges in the country are offering BA in rural economics. So the specializations are there for you to choose. It's just for you to understand how and when you must choose them, right? And similarly in the languages also, foreign languages if you see, there are Italian, Tibetan, Korean, Japanese, Russian, Chinese, Spanish, German, French. You actually have these undergrad programs only for these languages across the country. Now I'll jump to BSc. BSc, these are the kind of numbers that you have. General, computer science, biology, medical and allied sciences, chemistry, physics, nursing, all these are common. Now if I'm now taking BSc in general and trying to understand a distribution of that, of how it's panning out. You have veterinary science, beauty and fitness. You actually have BSc in beauty and fitness. 10 colleges are offering that degree. Actuarial sciences, 12 of them. Pharmacy, 13. Fire and safety, nautical science, business and management, Ayurveda and yoga, physical science, commerce, media and so on. So you actually have a very choice within BSc also. And by the way, if I were to pick up each of these things also, you will actually have the diversity will increase dramatically. Right. I'm now taking BSc in biology because earlier we talked of BSc in biology here. 3586. Now look at the numbers here. You have within biology, you have botany, zoology, microbiology, biology general, biosciences, industrial microbiology, plant biology, marine biology, agricultural biology. So the diversity was always there. It is just that we don't know the kind of landscape that we're dealing with. And by the way, the more you specialize you are, trust me, they're possibly being offered by a specialized institution somewhere in the country. A lot of people, IITs, IIMs, and those and NITs, all right. There are 200 plus institutions in the country which are funded by the government of India, which work under the government of India in different ministries, which offer an institution which the fee is almost next to nothing, but the possibility of it getting you the fantastic job is very high. Like how many of you here students know of Indian Statistical Institute? Student side? Right. So Indian Institute of Statistics or Indian Statistical Institute, there's an examination called ISAT, right? The placement once you get in there is almost 100%. Almost 100%. The problem is people write the CAT examination, they don't write the ISAT examination. And all the ISIs always go with unfilled seats. You need to understand the choices that are there in front of you. Right. Then I talked of, within this I've taken only biotechnology, look at that, bioinformatics, and so on and so forth. So you actually have the varied, kind of specializations that India offered was always very, very high. Now I take BCom, Commerce 8495, and then it keeps going down up to information technology. Right. Now, I'm sorry. Each of these things, if you say within BCom, you actually have statistics, investment banking, advertising and management, economics and all. So I think the choices that are given, you actually have BSc in economics, you have BA in economics, you have BCom in economics. You have BA in informatics, you have BSc in informatics, and you have BCom in informatics. So the choices are there. It is just that subject, the commerce being the major, or there the arts being the major, and that subject getting added, which is what happened, and which is where the specialization landscape is very, very high there. So India always had a very, very diverse and very, in-depth specialization choices that you always had. Liberal universities essentially at this point in time are trying to merge all these things and ensure that you actually have foundational thing before you choose that skill that you will want to specialize in and make that your career path or your... At the end of it, I'll just leave you with one simple thought. A lot of you would be thinking, why am I learning trigonometry? Why am I learning calculus? Why am I learning about Ghazni and Aurangzeb and all? And these questions keep coming back in this generation a lot more than in our generations, by the way. So 3-4 days back, I actually saw one particular letter by a Stanford graduate, which I thought was very interesting, and I posted it on my social media. I'm just sharing it with you. This is by a person called Hamza Al-Samre. He says, I'm a math major at Stanford. I'll be the first to tell you that I'll never solve a partial differential equation for work. But why is that a standard we judge the value of learning by? This whole idea of it's not applicable in the real world is silly. College isn't a vocational training program. It's meant to provoke your curiosity, to expand your horizons. If you want real world learning, go to a boot camp, trade school, etc. There's nothing wrong with that. But trying to turn college into trade school is stupid. Besides, all the useless stuff you learn in school teaches you how to think, how to analyze problems, how to weigh different perspectives. It's not a surprise. The smartest people I've met in business also happen to have a lot of useless knowledge. It's because curiosity shouldn't be constrained by capitalist pursuit. Paradoxically, if you let capitalism restrain what you learn, you end up losing. You end up being a non-interesting person with little ability to think laterally. Soon, an AI agent will be able to outperform you. Go read about philosophy, math, history, whatever intrigues you. Who cares if it makes you money? It will make you human. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for those inspiring words, sir.